What is the most blatant lie a salesperson has told you when trying to make a sale? I was waiting tables when I was in college and I just so happened to wait on an army recruiter. He told me that nothing would make my dad more proud of me than if I joined the army. Nothing against anyone that goes into the army. But my dad was drafted. I was finishing up a finance degree and I had a job lined up. Nothing would have pissed him off more than if I joined the army. "This is as big as he's going to get," said the lady at the animal shelter about a 20-pound puppy. "He's now 70 pounds and taking up half the couch." Not me. But my mom. One morning when I was still sleeping, her iPhone updated and was on the hello screen. She doesn't know much about technology, so she thought it was broken and brought it to the AT&T store. They told her it was broken and convinced her to get a new phone and start a new contract. When I found out, I was pissed. I turned her phone on and it worked. We went back up there and I spoke to the manager and told him what happened. He said we'd have to pay a restocking fee. He didn't care at all and chalked it up to being just a misunderstanding. We ended up filing a complaint with corporate to get it refunded. Edit. Holy upvotes. Thanks everyone. I'm saddened to see some of you have had similar experiences. I'm not sure if the store I was at was an authorized retail space or not, but I assume it was. Several years ago, I went to GameStop to buy a DS game, Mario vs Donkey Kong 2. If you're wondering, and while he's in the process of ringing me up, he starts the whole "would you like to pre-order so and so?" I can't remember what game it was. Pitch. I tell him no thanks. And I'd just like my game and I'll be on my way. But then he says something absolutely ridiculous. "Well, I'm sure you're going to want that game, since it's the hottest new title coming out this year. And you'll definitely want to pre-order it. See? The US government is cracking down on video games and starting in a few weeks. If you don't pre-order your games, you won't be able to buy them because we won't be allowed to sell them off the shelves." I laughed at him and walked out. An army recruiter told me there would be girls lining up to duck me every Friday night. If you live in the South, that's not even necessarily a lie. There are a ton of girls here who will duck you in a heartbeat just for being in the military. It's hilarious too because they constantly get ducked over by military dudes and complain about it but continue to suck every military big dick in sight. One girl I recently slept with literally told me if she joined the military she would, and I quote, "be the biggest whore alive." While shopping for a used car, the salesman says the whole someone test drove this today and said they were coming back for it. They really liked it. Get in the car. And it doesn't turn over. Not even a little. Needed a whole new battery. I guarantee you will not get into debt with this credit card. I tried to explain that debt is the integral function of the card. He didn't get it. I had a guy sit down across from me once at a Starbucks. Seemed like a nice enough dude, so I didn't care. He then pulls out his backpack full of products, one of which was some kind of energy drink. He told me I should buy it because the scientists that created it had figured out a way to infuse a second oxygen atom into an H2O molecule, thereby giving your body more oxygen when you drink it and making you better at sports or something. So I was like, they created hydrogen peroxide? Wow, cool man. Can't wait to try that. We were looking for a new stove. Wandering around the store, my wife saw this beautiful Arga stove. About $8,000. We were looking at it because it was so cool looking. Sales guy starts pushing it on us and my wife replies that it won't work at our house because we don't have natural gas. Sales guy then tells my wife in the most condescending tone ever that everybody has gas at their house. Mom, we live in the middle of nowhere. We do not have gas available. The guy continued to argue with my wife until I confirmed what she said. We bought our new stove somewhere else. I was invited out to a job interview one time. The first part of it was an orientation in a rented warehouse district office, where they spent the first half an hour or more explaining with a slideshow how they were not a pyramid scheme and what they were doing was totally illegal. Yup. Thanks. Bye. Don't call me again. Not exactly a sale, but I called Comcast to tell them I was switching to a gigabit service for a cheaper price. The rep told me I should stick with them because they were more reliable and the competitor only advertises up to a gig. So there's no guarantee it'll be faster. Bought a washing machine. The assistant was easily 17 or 18. Wearing a badge saying I'm in training and tried to get me to buy insurance with a grim warning that his washing machine danced across the room until fixed. He didn't know to remove the restraining bolts at the back. Salespeople that use this product actually sucks as an upsell method are the crystal burgers of humans. A timeshare salesman once told me and my wife, "You can trust me. I used to sell used cars." He was basically just filtering out people too awake to fall for the pitch anyway. Might as well get the smart ones out early, so you can give full attention to the dumb ones. A door-to-door salesman from an ISP in the UK told me if I switched my ADSL to them, it'd be way faster. I asked how he knew what provider I had now and he said he didn't know who I was using. He just knew his company was the fastest. When I said it would be the same copper going to the same exchange and asked how they could provide a higher speed, he got pretty aggressive. He really didn't do any homework for that job. Single female test driving a new car. It's within my price range, but otherwise I just don't care for the car. During the test drive, I mention that the car seems to be making a grinding sound whenever I make a right turn. Salesman says, "Honey, that's just the car warming up." I swear to God, even after saying that, he thought he had a chance at selling me this car. Offered to let me take it home for the weekend. Chased me as I was pulling out of the lot in my old car. Never went back. Obviously. Someone tried to sell me some expensive or a gold facial cleanser which apparently contains gold particles which penetrate the skin and cause changes to the electrons in the skin, making it brighter. He looked visibly panicked when I told him I was working on a degree in biochemistry. Bear in mind these were visible flecks, not even nanoparticles or anything of the like, which might have been slightly more plausible. It was pure snake oil. He also demonstrated the product's exfoliating power on the back of my hand, which appeared to slough off a load of skin and leave it very soft. Turns out it just had a PVA glue sort of stuff in it, causing the cleanser to pill and accumulate, resembling dead skin. Plain old glycerine made the skin feel soft. Such trickery. I'm sure other people would have fallen for it. Told this story before some time ago. Took my car in for an oil change to the dealership I bought it from. Service guy comes to me and says they noticed during the change the treads on my tires were really worn, so they were going to put some new ones on for me. The thing is, I had bought a new set that previous week and they were already on my wheels. Told him my tires would not be touched, or the BBB and my attorney would be called that afternoon. No one said a word to me the entire time I paid my bill. A guy was trying to get me to sign his petition for GMO labeling in my college town. I asked him what he defined as GMO and he started off with, "Well, it's when you split an atom from one thing." Double quote. When I was buying my first laptop, I asked what games it can run. He said any game on max settings. Same happened to me, but with a Mac. I was really stupid. Got in a car with screeching grinding brakes to test drive it. Drove maybe a mile or two and it did this the whole time. Came back. Told the salesperson, "All cars do that. Especially when you first start them." Me. "It did it for the whole drive. These brakes need replacing." Him, "You don't know what you're talking about." I turned around and left. A salesperson was telling my mum and me about a gin that has a wonderful infusion of lemongrass and peppercorn, which we then sampled and said it's nice. But I can't taste the lemongrass or for that matter the peppercorn. Salesperson said, "Oh, yeah? Don't worry about that. The flavors are meant to be hidden." Literally, what is the point of it then? That they actually owned the furniture they were selling to me. Paid for furniture at a furniture store. Was promised it would be delivered from the warehouse in a week. The floor models were just demo models. Come to find out they were in the process of bankrupting when I made my purchase. All the employees knew this, but they wanted to get any commission on sales that they could. Another liquidation company already owned everything. To get our money back we had to fight the charge with the credit card company. Ended up getting every cent back. A cable company called me 6 years ago trying to convince me to purchase more services besides basic internet. I said I didn't need cable because I had access to Netflix, Amazon TV, and Hulu through my internet service. And that there wasn't anything on TV I wanted to watch that wasn't on those services. The salesman said that no girls want to watch Netflix. And I would be alone and ruin all my future relationships unless I immediately upgraded my cable service. I think about that conversation every time someone says Netflix and chill. I occasionally get semi-official looking mailings with a little plastic vial. It presents itself as a company hired by the city to do water quality testing. If you send it back, they'll try and sell you a house water filter. I filled it with cooking coconut oil, the kind formulated to remain liquid at room temp, which is quite clear. When they came to discuss the results with me I asked if there was anything unusual in the test. And they told me about how these specific mineral levels were elevated and I totally needed a water filter. I picked up a couple of cats from an animal shelter. I asked them if they shed a lot. Oh no, they said. As if I was asking a silly question. Oh. They shed. Do they ever shed? I basically have to vacuum twice a week to barely keep up. Well, of course they lied. They're cats. Should have asked someone who worked there instead. I used to go to this tire shop in the rundown part of town because they had the best prices on good tires. So I call ahead and ask how much for a set of tires in the size I needed. $200. Great. I'll be right down. I get there and meet one of their workers and tell him I need a set of tires in my size. He looks at me and says $400. So I say, dude. I called ahead. They're $200. He then takes a short walk around the shop in full view. He's not talking to anyone. He's not looking at prices. He just does a circuit around the shop. When he gets back to me he says, yep, you're right, $200. While I did buy the tires, I didn't go back. GameStop. Was buying Destiny right when it came out, I know. Got to the cashier and they said it was digital only for $360, so I was just purchasing the code to download it. I stopped and said I would just buy it on my Xbox for the same price without involving GameStop. She said, well, do you really want your credit card information with Microsoft like that? That is really not secure. I don't trust Microsoft with privacy stuff, but I trust them with credit card info more than a GameStop in a strip mall in Bumduck, New Hampshire. Microsoft never cancelled auto renewal of Xbox Live membership over several accounts despite my attempts to do so. I rang customer services several times to complain and they claimed to do it only for the money to come out again. They stole hundreds of pounds from us and we still get emails about auto renewal failing due to lack of funds after we has MS blocked from taking money from our bank accounts. Mom had a vacuum cleaner salesman at our house. He claimed that the bag could hold twice as much as any other vacuum cleaner its size without having to change it. So he dumped a container of debris all over the living room floor and proceeded to suck it up, except the hose got jammed because the bag overfilled and pushed the dirt backwards. So he connected the hose to the exhaust on the machine to clear the blockage. And it blew the entire load all over Mom's very clean furniture and rug. It went everywhere, and so did he. Mom ushered him right out of the house before he could demonstrate yet another empty promise about the machine's features. Live in Southern California. So most of the yards are brown and dying. Guys drive around town selling bags of fertilizer to make your lawn green again. They showed up at my house one day and tried to shame me to buy some. My dad worked for a local city nearby in the parks department for 39 years. Let's just say he taught me some lawn care tips and treatment. So I just let the guy talk for a while. I finally bust out and tell him to tell me what's in the fertilizer and how to apply. He kept talking nonsense. I get tired and ask him what percent of nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium are in the fertilizer. He tells me with a straight face it doesn't matter and I should listen to him. I tell him, look, all you're carrying is sown soil mixed with manure and grass seeds. He looks pissed and walks away, cursing in Spanish. My neighbors across the street don't like them. I see him spend $100 on what he could have paid no more than $25 at the Home Depot. No bullshit. Literally.